Every year, millions of students make a decision that will have a significant impact on the rest of their lives. They choose what college or university to attend. This decision will affect their career, earnings, and professional development. A university website is a huge part of this decision. Alex Moss will address the importance of university web pages in selecting a higher education institution. Welcome, Alex Moss.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm very excited to welcome you to the very first World Higher Education Ranking Summit. And today's topic is really crucial for every university. It's a very important topic to maximize the online presence of the university. The importance of university web pages in selecting a higher education institution. This is very important for every higher education today because most students, they make their choices based on the online presence, and digital footprint of the university is an essential for every higher institution. And today I'm really honored and privileged to be joined by an expert, a leader in this field, Alex Moss. Alex is the director of Firecask, the online marketing and marketing consultancy, web design, branding, and WordPress development agency. He's also co-founder of BDIC, a WordPress theme framework powered by Bootstrap, and also he has a great interest in Italian wine as a co-owner of Basil and Lily. This is wonderful to have you here, and it's super important for everyone who has just tuned in to listen about this really significant topic of university web pages and how it affects student selection. So Alex, thank you so much for joining us. And where are you right now? Where are you joining us from?
Thanks for having me, Angelica. Yeah, I'm based in Manchester. I'm actually in the countryside near Manchester called Holmfirth. It's actually the place where they filmed the show called The Last of the Summer Wine, which is a very popular British show where absolutely nothing happens for 30 years.
That's wonderful. Well, Alex, this is excellent to have you here because many universities, they have such a strong offline presence, like their libraries are rich, their facilities are amazing, but there is no way to describe this online. And this is a very big issue for many universities across the world. And every year, thousands of students, they make a decision that will significantly impact their lives, and they choose what college they want to attend. And this decision affects their professional development, earnings, career. And mostly this is based on the online presence of the university, on their social media, on their web. What would you think is why this is happening, and what do you think is the most important right now for every institution around the world to understand about web pages and why this is essential to be digitally active?
Sure. Well, in short, I'll go back to my university application process, which was in 2003. So I'm showing my age now, where universities didn't even have websites. So back then, we'll all remember how the application process was. You knew about some universities. You may visit them if you can, but if not, you had to order a prospectus, the brochure selling that university. In short, think of that website as an online version of that prospectus. So if you're trying to talk someone into coming and attending your university, you really have to impress them because you're in competition with all the other universities, not just in your region, but in your country, in the continent, and of course, globally, especially because we've got a very online world where anyone from anywhere can go on any website, and B, we've got a small world in terms of travel, which means that anyone, say from Jordan, can just travel to somewhere like England and have their higher education here. What you guys want to do is stop that from happening and keep everyone in, or in fact, actually attract people the other way and make people come towards your university to help them gain a higher education. And then also, lastly, to think of once they finish their education process, one thing that some universities like to do, I know in England, is nurture those students so that they don't move away once the education's complete. So if you were a university in Dubai, most universities I would think would like to maybe communicate more with companies that take interns and graduates, so that that person stays in Dubai and fulfills their career there, and then will always look back to the original place where they got their higher education and decided to stay in the place they were learning. But back to why it's important is that the audience essentially is between the ages of 18 and 25, and anyone over 25 will be extremely rare. So you've got to think, where are those people going to find information about you? And the answer is from their smartphone, in short, and they are more in tuned to technology than well, even me or anyone who's listening right now. So it's think of it as a shop window, where you really have to impress a prospective student, because unless you're one of the top 1%, you have to talk them into it rather than the other way around.
This is very important for every institution to understand this. And my next question would be to you, as a leader in this field, as an expert, what would you recommend for universities? Because it is quite an investment to have this very impactful online digital presence, and many universities that they are trying to cut down those expenses. But what do you think is like essential, like the bare minimum that every website, every university's website has to have, just to be there, to be recognized, and to have that presence?
Okay, I would split it into two. A well-performing website, so something that loads fast, and I can get into that technicality later. And the other thing is content, and when I say content, I don't just mean words, which is obviously important, but also imagery and videos and social content, because again, your audience are using Twitter and Facebook and even TikTok, and more progressive universities tend to target where the audience is. So for example, there's no point in posting much about your new courses on LinkedIn, right? Because not many students who are looking for university degree are on LinkedIn. They usually join it and get more active as they're finishing university and want to go on to getting a job. So so in short, performance and content are your key things to focus on.
This is very important. But one thing that I wanted to ask you also is, when we look at the website, we want everything to be easy, right? So how can we make this website pages as easy as possible, as intuitive as possible, so that when student goes to this website, they understand that, okay, this is very easy to scroll, it's very user-friendly. And what are the key things here to make it very intuitive for the user?
There are a number of ways. So one of them is the correct visual impact at the beginning. When I say the beginning, is in the first visit, the first thing they see, even before they start scrolling, which is a term called above the fold. That means anything that you just see without doing anything to the website. And in that part, you have to kind of provide a lot of information, but in a very neat and tidy way, so it doesn't overload the visitor. So if I go back to your website is your storefront, if you're a large shop that has multiple floors that sell different things, with concessions, for example, you don't want to just let someone walk in that shop and have someone come up to you and start talking to you about everything that's in the store. You go in and there are things that you are an easy sell for a store itself, and that's usually on the ground floor, which is generally what sunglasses and perfume and stuff like that. And then when you know that you want something in particular, say a fridge or a freezer, you can walk past all of those little things and go up to exactly where you need to go. So in those kind of departments, you also notice things like, you know, when you're near the lift and when you the escalator or the elevator, and you see it's kind of, well, this is a site map essentially. It's a list of everything that's in the store and exactly where they are. So the way in which content is streamlined is actually just like a store but online. So so again, it has to go back to the audience as well. And if you're happy for me to share, oh, I can't share the screen, so you may want to make me a host, and I'm happy to share the screen of a couple of universities. Okay, so I'll show you a few different universities in England. And the first one is the University of Cambridge. It's extremely academic, it's extremely well known. And even here you can see that it doesn't seem like the old fashioned formality of a University of Cambridge. They're showing young people that the thing that I'm seeing above the fold without actually scrolling anywhere is that they're focusing on technology here with the use of Raspberry Pi and watching kids of all ages actually get involved. What we also see is that they split things into undergraduate and postgraduate because generally that's what you want to see. And here is a video. So this is great content here where if I don't want to necessarily read everything, or maybe if I don't understand English as my first language, I can press play here and still gain what I need to in order to understand exactly what the University of Cambridge offers me. And then after this, they'll show you different areas of the site, research that the university partake in. So if you're specialized in a subject by the time you're in higher education, you may find that actually Cambridge is a much better university than any other university based on the research that they're doing, which is relevant to that student. So that's another thing. And lastly, alumni, and showing people who used to actually attend that university and the way in which that they are active today in the professional sense, and anything they may do that relates back to the university. Another example, I guess, is Patrick Stewart, who famously played, I don't know who he played Professor Xavier in X-Men and other things. He's now a patron of University of Huddersfield, which is actually very close to me now, which is where he grew up. There's latest news and everything because everyone needs to understand exactly what the university are doing, both in terms of the course as well as what they're doing in the educational sector. And lastly, one thing to show you here is the menu here. This is called a burger menu because it's 3 lines and kind of looks like a burger. But if you were to show this, it shows you, this is the site map I was telling you about near the escalator, where it shows you every element of exactly what's in the site and how to get there to make it easy for each person. So this is one that's very formal. This is the University of Oxford, which is again just as prestigious as the University of Cambridge, and again it looks extremely modern, doesn't it? It's very current. It's talking about things happening in Ukraine and how maybe the University of Oxford is helping the crisis there. Again, news and events, including open days, things like that. And another thing that's very important is the benefits. Why should I come to your university and not the next university? Why is that? Is it because your education is stellar and more important than the other potential university you're looking at? Maybe you have specialism that really, really caters to you. Maybe you have very, very good graduate schemes where I may say, for example, if I want to go into banking and finance, you may have some kind of relationship, I don't know, with KPMG in Dubai. Amazing. That means my chances of a career path of succeeding is more possible now if I attend your university and not another university. And very quickly, the University of Manchester, again, you can see they've got a very big picture. It's called a hero image to show you the success of previous years, as well as understanding exactly what you want to learn and even entering keywords. So I can just type in finance. It'll take me to a very specific course where I can read more about it. I can see what I need for A-levels and what's involved in the application process. And lastly, this is the last one, I promise, is a university called UA92, which was opened up by a footballer called Gary Neville. He's part of Class of 92, which is quite a well-known select few footballers from 1992, obviously, and David Beckham's in one of the 6. So it's David Beckham, Gary Neville, Ryan Giggs, and there's a few others. I'm not a massive football fan, but anyone who knows football will know who they are. He opened his own university that specifically looks at more modern education, and therefore you can see that it's even more modern. This to me looks like, it doesn't look like a university. If anything, it looks like a cool shop or brand where it just so happens that they seem to be teaching you things at the same time, and you can really get something out of it. So you can see in here, there's kind of a same formula of impressing people when they come through your shop door, but it's the way you communicate that has to match your tone of voice, which is formal yet also relatable to young people.
I love this. Thank you so much, Alex, for actually showing us the successful examples, how to become the how to create that online presence that will be relatable to the younger audience, as well as will remain very trustworthy and show the capacity of this particular university. It's really amazing how you showed us different examples, and every university has their own style. So it's interesting because this brand style of each university, do you think that this should be within everything on that website, every also social media? Do you think they should be in one comprehensive brand, or can it vary and can it be different?
I would say it would be good to remain consistent to your own brand. So if you think that maybe you might need a brand refresh or a rebrand, change the logo, which I know is very, very hard to do usually, but even an update in messaging, which most have been able to do. So I can tell you now, when I was going through those websites, they were not the same websites as they were 10 years ago. There's actually a great website that you can visit called archive.org, where you can see any version of any web page from any moment in time. So it might be interesting for you to say, go to the University of Oxford and see what it's like today compared to what that website was like in 2005. And that may give you a bit of insight into how design methods change to the audience over time.
This is a very important topic that you've just mentioned, because when students look at the website, and the design is from 2005, then they think that, okay, these guys are outdated. Then this is a bias, right? It doesn't mean this is the thing, but people that look at the website, they think, okay, you do not keep up with the recent technologies, with the design, with the online new trends, and this is how they see it. So do you think this is really vital for every single university across the world that want to enhance their online presence and be more attractive to students, to prospective students? Do you think it's really vital to keep up with new technologies, keep up with the new designs, and be out there?
100%. I mean, anyone who wants to think forward in the next 10 years about their own careers, things are moving fast, especially in technology. People want to stay in technology as well. I would go so far as to mention to anyone, if they want to delve into Web3, to do so, because that's something that is going to be the future, whether or not we like it. I'm kind of not old fashioned, but, I like to get offline and get outside and have a walk and stuff. But, the generation beneath us, and it starts from the very people who are going to be applying to universities, want to know more about what's going on in the metaverse and what NFTs are and things like that, where they're going to get more immersive into technology. But the thing to think about here is that if they want to remain immersed in technology, they want to understand that whatever you're going to do is current. And if you've got an old website, they're not going to think that if you don't care about that, then what about your actual prospectus and syllabus of technology-based education in your university? And it's kind of also, if I go back to the shop front, it's like going into a store that hasn't been refurbished in 20 years. You walk around and they may sell the best stuff ever in that store, but you're still in the back of your head judging them and saying, well, why haven't you tried to impress me with, getting new flooring? It's that kind of stuff that you need to really relate to. And remember that these websites aren't for you. They're for the student. So your opinion is biased, whether you like it or not. So they're not. Your website shouldn't be impressing the teachers, the lecturers, or anyone in the admin or the owners of the university. They should only be impressing the people who should be potentially coming to the university to study. And that isn't you. It's someone else, and it's someone younger. So you need to impress them. It's like, again, if you're trying to impress your 5-year-old kid, you're not going to give them adult related content to try and impress them. You'll give them something that relates to them, right? So it's exactly the same thing. And if they think you've missed the ball or you're a bit old fashioned, then you may find trouble getting students, especially if they want to do anything modern in terms of their route into work.
Thank you so much, Alex, because this is essential stuff for every university. We didn't go into details, but we covered like the bare minimum for every institution across the globe that need to keep up and be relatable. And my last question is actually, do you believe that ranking systems should include the university web pages visibility and their online presence, perhaps gamification moments? There could be different methodology how this could be added to ranking systems. However, do you think that this should be added as their innovation-centric approach towards the users that will look up that university online?
Well, they kind of are already, but without that content being there, it can't be found. So as I said before, it was split into two. There's content and performance, right? So if you want to sell a certain course, you should write as much detail as possible about that course. The more you write, the more of a chance that that page will be chosen as the most relevant page when someone searches for something. So you have to think about what's in a prospective student's head when they're searching, and there's a few ways of thinking about that. So there's things called branded search, where it would essentially be the name of the university itself. You may have an unbranded term where you may have something like university in and then a location. Or you might have, that's called medium tail. And then if you go longer tail to a more specific, I can say something like, I'm trying to study mechanics in Amman in university. And that's kind of specific, right? But if I search for that, whoever the university website of Amman, right, they should have a very specific landing page covering mechanics, right? So it answers that person's question and gives them more trust in the fact that you're authoritative in that education sector, and therefore they should come to you and ask more questions. And lastly, the performance of a website is very important. I know before we went on, we chatted about technology and websites, and a lot of universities in the MENA region may have slow loading websites due to, technologies like ASP that may be a bit more dated or less open source. And my answer is make sure that you do go open source and make sure that you only load resources on your website that you need to load, so a website loads as fast as possible. So you may be the best university in the world, but if it takes 20 seconds for your web page to load, don't think that person's going to wait for 20 seconds. You have to assume, unfortunately, two things about any visitor on a website: that A, they're impatient, and B, they're stupid. And if you do that and you cater for an impatient, stupid person, then everyone else above will be catered for as well. So it's very important to think about that.
This was extremely insightful, and thank you so much for sharing some secrets behind the success of every web page for each university. I know that lots of questions will be related to you, so there is a chat box, and please submit the question if you have a question to Alex and would like to consult with him on your issue with online presence of your institution. Please submit the form here. And it was my great honor and pleasure to interview Alex Moss today as a leader in the field of online presence. Thank you so much, Alex. And it's been a real joy to talk to you about the importance of this online digital footprint for each one of us. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me, and thanks for having me at the conference as well. It was an honor.